Welcome everyone with the last session in the user stories and integrations track for the CloudStack Collaboration Conference 2021. We have a special person here. CloudStack's VP Gabriel Brecher is here with us, and he will tell us a little bit more on how to contribute to Apache CloudStack. Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Beth. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending this session. And well, a guide on contributing to Apache CloudStack, as the name say, it covers mostly some guide for newcomers. But I think that there are a lot of people also that are active in the community and sometimes might be missing some interesting spots that we need to improve. So I think this can cover a broad audience as well. So for those who don't know me, I'm Gabriel. I'm Brazilian. I just moved to the Netherlands, and I'm software developer at Apache Extreme. I became committer in 2017, PMC member in 2019, and this year I am the PMC chair of CloudStack, also known as VP of CloudStack. So to begin with, just some context on open source projects. Really quickly here, open source projects, they solve problems via a network of contributors across the world. And here's a very important part of this definition that I brought, because we are talking about different time zones, different countries, people work for different companies, there's a lot of mix in cultures and everything. And plus there's the fact that we are always exchanging messages in mails or pull request reviews. So normally it's text-based communication. So for any newcomer who comes to the community, this is important also to note because there might have some delay on answers and everything because different time zones, and we always need to make sure to keep the messages clear, concise, and also be very polite. You know, it's good to avoid a misunderstanding because it happens. That's normal. We sometimes may have some miscommunications, and that's life, especially on open source world. It's great because anyone can use it, anyone can develop, and as much users as we can gather, more bugs might happen to appear because there is more people poking the code and finding issues, and which is great. Also, new features, new use cases are requested. So we need a higher throughput in the development side as well. So we always want more developers, and that's how the open source projects grow. But I understand that it can be really challenging for newcomers, and that's the main point here as well, to share that it's challenging, but there is a way and we can cut through all the issues. For instance, I developed a code 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and if I look at right now, I might have issues to understand everything that have been passed, especially if not documented and well written. So it's important to understand that it's hard, and we are talking about a code of over 10 years old with more than 300 contributors have passed in this code. We have 500,000 lines in Java as well. We have a JavaScript, we have Python. It's complex, so no issues if you get a bit afraid at first contact, but that's happened, that's normal. And it's not about the code. You know, the code is important, of course, but the main piece here is the community. So the community is welcoming newcomers. If we are friendly, we are enhancing documentation, etc. That's how the project is going to grow. You know, and the code gets better as a consequence. We have fewer bugs, we have more features. So that's part of the life in open source projects. Apache Way, really quickly here, where the Apache stands in the Apache CloudStack. The main focus of the Apache projects is to keep individuals with all the opportunities that they can get. So that's no different in CloudStack. So we want all the individuals to be free to speak, to contribute, to review, to put their opinions. It is a community of peers. All individuals participate at the community and not organization. So different from some projects, CloudStack and an Apache project does not have like a company that that sponsor or owns the project. So anyone can go here. We have, of course, companies that are sponsoring events, that are paying day job employees. For instance, I'm a day job employee that is working with CloudStack. That's normal, that's perfect, fine. As long as we are giving the credit to individuals, and then the individuals working, they become committers, PMC, etc. Then there is a consensus decision making. Everyone has the same equal weight in votes. So if I vote, if anyone votes, it should be taking as the same care for each vote, and that's great. And also responsible oversight. The Apache Software Foundation governance model is based on trust and delegated oversight. So begin as a user, eventually become a contributor, and then a committer. With committership, then there is some responsibilities, and then one day we'll become a PMC member, and then there is more responsibilities to oversight the project and report to the board. And that's how Apache projects work in a way that the board don't need to stay all day long checking each project. So that's a nice way. And in this way, we can see that anyone can cooperate, anyone can help the project, and there is a solid infrastructure for the whole project. We talk a lot about CloudStack, and for a few people, it might sound just like a single project, but we can divide into a main project and sub-projects. So for instance, there is CloudStack itself, but there is also documentation, which is very important. So the cloud stack without documentation would have no users, and then at the end there would be no reason on development. And so we really need a good documentation so users can go there, check, and see how to deploy and use it, and they're happy. They keep growing, they keep sharing the project idea to other users. So that's how it works. The same goes to the website. We need to improve the website. We need to work with the website. So the first contact of anyone with the project will be problem on the website. And then there is the CloudMonkey, which offers API facilities. So instead of sending raw posts or get comments, we can use CloudMonkey, which is human readable, it's easy to use. So that's great. Then there's Terraform provider, Kubernetes provider, CloudStack Go, etc. And the point here is to show a bit more of the structure of the CloudStack project, and also show that there is a room for any kind of developer or contributor. For instance, Java and JavaScript, especially now with the Vue framework, are very used in the CloudStack itself. But then there is HTML. If someone knows how to work with HTML and wouldn't like to work with HTML, there is plenty of room to work on the website. We really need to work on the website, and that would be awesome. If you like Python, also CloudStack uses Python. Even the documentation uses Python, but not really needed there to developers. And then there's Bash script, MySQL, etc. If you want to work with documentation, it's pretty much in restructured text. There's no need for development skills. You will need to install Python, but there is a whole documentation on how to do it because the Python is used to build actually the documentation, but it is all written in restructured text. So that's easy. Any text editor will do the job. And then if you like Golang, you can work with CloudMonkey, Terraform provider, Kubernetes, and CloudStack. So how to contribute? I'm trying to keep the pace here. We don't have much time. And then, also I want to have some questions and answers at the end. To begin with, main list. I think that's the main way. I began back in 2013 to contribute in this way, going to users main list. At first some questions and then start to answer some other users questions. We have the announcement main list. It isn't really used, and it's more focused on announcing release, security, and other announcements. It is good to keep in mind and sign. If you want more details, there is the link there, the bottom of the slide. Then there is the user main list, which is moderately high volume list, and is a good main list. I recommend everyone to sign there if you have interest in contributing and understand and use the project. Then there is the development main list, which happens, all the discussions about development, most of them would happen there or in GitHub with pull requests open or issues open. It's a high volume list, and you have a lot of interesting discussions there. The commits main list, I'm putting exactly what is listed on the CloudStack website. Otherwise, I would probably not list it here because it's automated messages of all the commits that go to the CloudStack Git repository. Same with the issues. It's a legacy main list, I would say, when we use a Jira project, but I listed here just to anyone to get in conflict with the slide, compare with the website. And then there's the marketing main list. This marketing main list is actually really interesting, especially if you want to make a conference or want to reach someone of the community to share about the project. It's always a good main list to marketing the CloudStack project. Then there are the issues. If you see an issue in CloudStack as a developer, system admin, or user, you can report this either on the user list that I just mentioned or on the issues. Ideally, you can even add a discussion on the user list, create the issues and link in the user list, and later on it will be linked on the pull request that will address this issue. And to open issue isn't hard. You can do it, I think, in 5-10 minutes. And there's already a template there to fill when you click in the issue, which you will ask for the type of the issue, for instance, a bug report or enhancement. Then there's the component, API, virtual router, UI, the version, for instance, for 15.2, the configuration, let's say KVM or a different network setup, the environment if needed, like a Ubuntu or CentOS. Then the summary, where you describe the issue, steps to reproduce. This is very important, so other contributors can reproduce it and discover a bit more details of this issue. Then expected results and actual results. That's it. The issue will be open, and we will be able to address this issue, discuss, and target to a target release. To the pull request side. So let's say we open up the issue and then we open a pull request and linking the issue with the pull request. Um, Opening pull request is quite simple. I think that the biggest challenge is, of course, developing and then the whole process until the pull request is merged. You can help a lot of opening pull requests, of course, but the first step, I would recommend reviewing some pull requests and testing. So if you want to develop for the CloudStack project, you have been gone through all the process of deploying a test environment in your laptop or in your lab environment, then you can start by reviewing and testing pull requests. This will give a lot of background on how to develop in the CloudStack and the whole process of creating and merging pull requests. Then, ideally, a pull request is merged when there is two, what we call it LGTMs, looks good to me, reviews. So two contributors will review the code, and ideally, at least one will do some manual tests as well to validate, and then they will say it is okay. And if all of these contributors plus the integration tests have passed, then the pull request will be merged. And then the other contribution, which is as important as the previous ones, is the community development. So let's say that you don't have the time anymore to develop, but you have been developing in the past years and you could mentor in newcomers. That would be awesome. Don't have to develop at all. Or if you're a professor or have students that want to contribute to the project, that's awesome as well. Conferences, if you know conferences that could fit CloudStack topics, don't hesitate. You can ping users, you can ping marketing mail list to figure out, and marketing itself, like blogs or any technical news that could add CloudStack somehow. The only thing that we ask for is to reach us, for instance, on marketing mail list, and then we can provide some details. One example here is if you use the CloudStack trademark, it will probably be good to ping it the PMC board just to make sure there is no infractions. Sometimes some folks with good intentions might eventually do a mistake and simply place CloudStack as being their product or as if they develop the project. So small issues like this we can now quickly assert, and so that's always good to ping marketing and list, and then we guide it throughout the process. Who can contribute? So I think that everyone that is watching this session can contribute, and I hope that I can show this really quickly. Um, Eventually, I heard some questions like, "I'm not a developer, can I contribute?" And yes, definitely. But I'm beginning with the developer side. So if you're a beginner or not, you have interest in to work with Python, Golang, or Bash, or HTML, or or all the stacks that we have been mentioning, please be welcome. You can ping the community, you can go cross the code. All the time we are helping newcomers. But if you are a system admin, you use the project and you find any kind of issue in the documentation, or you discover a success approach for an issue, you can share it. You can go in the username list, you can go to the documentation, or if you find a bug, please raise an issue. And even end users, there are users who know they are using their provider use CloudStack. Sometimes they use even the same CloudStack UI. And if you are a user and you see a thing that can be enhanced, don't hesitate. You can go there and raise an enhancement issue, and the developers will take care. If that fits with the schedule of the release, they might add it. And here is a shout to any designer, please. We need some help with the website. I think that we have a website that's good in terms of presenting a lot of things, but it's good like 10 years ago. And nowadays it started to get a bit outdated. And if anyone can help us here, we are really struggling to enhance I mean, it's developers and system admins making websites, so that's not really the fancier website. And as I mentioned before, it is probably the first touch that anyone has with the product. And marketing gurus, for instance, Yvette did a great job here with the conference. So anyone who understands about marketing and is interested with helping the project is really welcome, and it can help the project a lot more than sometimes you can imagine. And any open source enthusiast is really welcome. You know, if you like open source, you will probably find a fit here, and we will receive you really well. And there is a lot of people who use CloudStack for a long time. They have great stories. They have a lot of knowledge they could share. And what we are here also sharing, we are also asking. So please contribute, help us, interact, get along with the community, and let's make the project stronger. Um, some really quickly, some suggestions here. We need to improve documentation. I would say that documentation has been improving a lot recently, but still there is room to improve. I saw Boris' presentation regarding the Prometheus and everything, and there were some gaps in documentation. And this happens because we are there implementing. Sometimes there are people who work with the project for 9, 6, 5 years long, and a few things start to get natural for us, and any newcomer will find some gaps in documentation, and it will be awesome to improve it. The website I already mentioned it. This is something that I would really ask any discussion, anyone to help. Yvette has been working a lot to try to improve the website, but it's still there is some missing gaps there, and I would like to have newcomers with designing website skills. Mainly this, so if you want to reply users or share success stories there, or say, hey, yesterday I tried to deploy a CloudStack zone with this setup, it didn't work, but then I discovered that it was a small issue with, let's say, hardware or whatever, and you can go there and share, and people will see the message, they will learn from it, or they will say, hey, I had the same issue, but actually was another thing. So small things like this improve the project. And also, if you want to do any integration tests, we always have been working to learn this, and we need to keep updated. So please be welcome, help with the integration tests, implementations and enhancements. Code review, we always need people to review code. It's great, and to improve the code quality, to make sure that we have less bugs possible and better code possible. And pull request testing, that's actually, I think, the easier task for newcomers that want to develop is deploying infrastructure for lab and then test a couple of pull requests, because then you clone a repository, you build the packages and put in production or in lab. to test it, and then you can give us all the review for our requests. So I see that I have 10 minutes around, I think. Here are some links to check. So please go to the website, the documentation, to the GitHub. And I also added the get involved tag where we have on the main website, which is /contribute. So there are a few details there as well. I would like to thank you very much for being on the conference, for being in this talk, and I'm open to any questions to help anyone who's interested with the contributing to the CloudStack project.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. I will start with one question just to open the discussion. According to you, what strategy should the CloudStack project apply so that we can increase our visibility and we can be one of the really top choices when enterprise organizations are deciding which cloud management system to choose?
I think that one of the main things is staying on the light, avoiding going to the shadows. And if we start skipping conferences, if we start not sharing about our experiences, people will start to look at other successful experience and forget that CloudStack exists. So we need to keep it there, showing people that it works, and there are plenty of success cases. There is conference happening all the time with new features, and CloudStack is still something cool. People will keep going and looking after, I think.
Okay, continuing with next questions. For a beginner developer, how easy or difficult is it, in your opinion, to find employment while contributing to CloudStack?
Yeah, it can be a bit tricky. So for instance, if you are a new developer and want to work, it might be a bit hard to find job at first because it isn't that easy to find companies who work with CloudStack. But at the same time, if you start to work as an open source project, people will start to see the contributor, and suddenly a few job offers start to appear. And I think that it gets some time to get used with the project to get the name around. But once it starts, there are plenty of job opportunities to stay working with the project.
I would maybe also mention one more thing. I think that if you are a contributor to the CloudStack project and you're really active in the community, like active on the mailing list or visiting the events which are virtual or live, you can really make nice connections with people from companies in which they're already using CloudStack. So this can open also the door to finding a really good job position, right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. That's also why it's so good to have conference, because we start to link people's business, but also new employees maybe are there around looking and discussing. So that's always good.
Yeah, I will just refer to this one of the slides which you have shown on your keynote about State of the Union. They're really awesome companies like big cloud providers, enterprises, IaaS providers who are using CloudStack. So you can meet people from all these companies on the events and in the CloudStack community. And going to our next question, can a non-developer become a committer or a PMC member of the CloudStack project?
Yeah, I would say that can. It might be a bit harder, but I think that the community has been trying to be open to different kind of contributors, and I think that we should start to make it. For instance, we have been Andrea. Andrea is not really contributing a lot in terms of code, like in Java, but he's a great tech guy. He's a great architect, and he's using the all the main lists as a tool for him to help the community. Also, he's opening a few pull requests and helping a lot on issues, etc. So he became a committer and PMC. So, and there are some people who don't go daily based developing, but they contribute a lot and became a committer and PMC.
Thank you, Gabriel. Any other questions for Gabriel? Or if we don't have any questions now, you can, Gabriel, maybe hang out a bit in the lounge zone. I'm sure that some of our attendees would be happy to have a chat with you.
Sure.
Thank you very much for this session and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. You too.